In the previous lesson about geometry nodes in Blender, we started modeling a really simple geometry using curves and using a conversion from curve to mesh node. So we are starting, these are the first lessons, so it will be really easy, and we're still understanding and explaining what's in the interface here. So let's see in focus what we have in the spreadsheet. So the first panel we use using the geometry node interface is the spreadsheet. Now the spreadsheet, as you can see, is going to give you data, a series of values and numbers and information about your object, what is going on in the resulting geometry of what you're doing. And you can see here it's giving you numbers. So how many vertices, how many edges, how many faces, etc., etc. So these appear like lists of values, and each one of these is unique. So it's like an index. At some moment when you need, you can pick from this index the value that you want, the information that you want. And also, if we expand this a little bit, we can see that we have domains. Now, by domain, we mean that this object it's in the domain of the meshes, meaning that it's an object that is a mesh. So basically, domains are topology, which type of object you're working with. You're working with a mesh, you're working with curve or grease pencil or point cloud or volume grease or instances. Well, this is where it's going to tell you this information, and more in the specific, you can see what's going on also in the sub-objects of this mesh. So vertices, edges, faces, face corners. And you can pick this to do other operation, more complex and advanced operation. So domains, and then we have down here the other really important panel, which is the geometry node editor that we can also recall from here. So in any case you lose it, as you know, you can retrieve it from here. And in this panel, there are other hidden panels, let's say like this, in this window. So the first one is going to be on the left, and if you click and drag that arrow, it's going to appear. And also here on the right, we have another arrow. You can also click directly to open it up. Now these two can be also recalled from the view. So one is called the toolbar, the other one is called the sidebar, and can help you to give you like extra feature that you can use in the node editor. Really basic things to use the node editor. You can scroll the scroll wheel and make it zoom, or you can press the scroll wheel to make a pan and move around. If we right click, we have other menus, let's say pop-up menus. So if you are on node and you click with the left view, you have this operation that you can do. And if you click like in another area or with everything deselected, you will have the add or shift A to add a node. You can paste, you can find if you're looking for something specific, and that's it. So let's move on here with the node editor interface. So up here, we saw we can change the type of view. The next one is going to be the modifier. And you can see you can switch from modifier to tool. Now these are a little bit different. So modifier is, let's say, the most important, because it lets you work with procedural parameters. You can always come back and change the various values and attributes, and you can basically manipulate with a non-destructive workflow your object. You can always go back and forward essentially, so it's reversible. When you use the tool instead, is similar to other tools that you can find in Blender. You apply it and that's it. It's basically a single application. It's destructive, it's non-reversible, unless you go back with the Ctrl-Z, of course. So before getting into the difference between the modifier and the tool, let's cover some other information about the node editor that can be handy. So let's proceed like from left to right. So view, this is where you can expand the toolbar, the sidebar, and then you can zoom in, zoom out, really simple. And then frame selected means you can select one node or multiple nodes and zoom on those. To select multiple nodes, you can click and hold the Shift key, just like you usually do in Blender to select more object. And as usual, you have an active node and a, let's say, secondary. So be careful, because when you select the node, it's going to be like white outline, and you can right click and work on that node. Like you can, for example, copy and paste. Simple Control C, Control V will let you copy and paste one node or multiple node inside the node editor. Again, Control C, Control V, copy and paste, delete with the delete key. So let's say we select these two, we can go to view and zoom to those selected nodes. And also frame all. So we can zoom to all the nodes inside our group here. And then you have the usual area commands, like you can split vertically, and you can navigate the same, let's say, node or group of nodes, like with different type of views, like an overall view and a zoomed view. And if you want, you can also just close the area from here, as you usually do in Blender. So pretty simple. In the select, we can change way we select. We can invert the selection. We can do a box selection, circle selection, lasso selection, and also the linked. We can select the linked node. So when we select one, we want to see which one are linked or linked to. And then we have also, we can group, and we can select the group by type, color, etc. And we can also find a specific node that we're looking for. So let's say I'm going to type here mesh. You can see it found that with the mesh name in it. And we can also change the names. So we go here, for example. So this is arc, and we used this in the previous lesson to create a profile for the bracelet here, the ring or whatever. So if we right click, we can go and rename, or F2. And so let's call this bracelet profile. So giving names will help us to understand better what's going on here in our flow, and also to retrieve a specific node with the find tool. Then we can add more nodes, and we already saw how we can use this. And then we have specific for node, which again is like copy, paste, duplicate, which is the same of copying and pasting. And then you have rename again, and you can delete it. You can also create frames. Now, frame is to have a visual grouping of elements. So let me delete this, and let's say that I want to group these three together, but just visually. So I can click and drag, create the selection, and then I will go node and join a new frame. And there you go. Now we have a nice visual group of that. And we can also remove. So if I say, okay, I want to remove this from this frame, now I can move around. I can bring it outside because it's not part of that group. Okay, if I select the group, I can always move around everything that is inside that group. And I can also rename the group. So let's call this group profile. And again, that's good for organizing and keeping things comprehensible. So, and then we have other stuff. For example, we can also group, but the group here, like make group, it's a little bit different between framing that we saw. It's called group, but I'm going to show you what it does. So let's select like these two right here. So if I select those two, right click and make group or Control G, what's going to happen here is that it's going to create a new subgroup, or let's say subnode. So we can enter and exit this in like a pyramidal structure. So to go up, you have this arrow here. So if you click, you can go back up. And now you can see that instead of the two nodes, we have one. So they are like grouped together in this. And I can also make this a little bit larger. And we can change the name also from here. Let's call it group 1. Okay, and we can double click, actually just one click on that little icon to get in again. So we are in group 1 right now, and we can go, up and down in this case, like a pyramid. So framing and grouping is just a little bit different. Also, you can right click and you can insert other stuff into this group with the insert into group. We can also add it to the group, and that's going to bring us inside again, and we can ungroup. So if we ungroup, that's going to be like we left it before. And show and hide. Yeah, we can do other operations here with the node and the links, but they're pretty simple, so you can figure it out once you understand where to find things here in the node editor. And so let's proceed. Now here, toolbar, pretty simple. So you have tweak, select box, you have select lasso, you have select circle. So this is kind of a brush to paint the node that you want to select. And probably you already know all of that if you know Blender. If you don't, just check the Blender video course that we have in the channel. Annotate. So with the annotate, we can take annotation. So we can point here something, we can circle, say, okay, there's a mistake right here or whatever. So we can communicate perhaps with other people who are working with us in the node. And we can manage this by going here on the right side panel. So the right side panel has one thing for the group. So here you can change the name. You can call these, I don't know, nodes lesson 03. You can add a description. You can change some information right here. Again, we have the checkbox to see if this is a modifier or a tool, and we're gonna get to this in just a minute. And then you have animation down here, so other stuff. Again, it will help you work with in the node editor, and we will use it later. Node, so this is also giving information about the node that you are selecting. So let's say this, okay, it's gonna give me the information on this. This is gonna give me the information on this, etc., etc. Tool, which tool you're using? We are using a selection, so it's telling me, okay, we're using a selection. We can also extend or subtract, so Boolean selection, which you should know. And view, so in the view, you can change the node. So I can change here, for example, the colors of this node that I've just created. I can hide it, I can duplicate, I can change the opacity, thickness, etc., etc. Or you can just delete them. Or if you want to delete them, also you have here, well, different types of annotation and then the eraser. So you can directly erase those annotation. And then you have links cut, pretty simple. You can just click and cut off the links, and that's gonna influence your results here in the 3D view. Now let's move to another scene. We discover all the various parts of the node editor. Let's see how the tool works. So I'm gonna go to File, New, General, and just gonna use the cube here to do something really simple. So I'm gonna go to Geometry Nodes and expand this just a little bit more. And let's do the switch. So from modifier to tool, and we're gonna click on new, just like we did with the modifier. Now the first difference is that here you don't have any modifier in the modifier panel, so we're not gonna use this right now. And it's gonna be direct, and again, it's not gonna be, let's say, procedural or reversible. So let's add here something to transform or change this cube. So what I'm going to do is go into the mesh, because I know this is a mesh, so I can work with mesh nodes. So I can go to add, and I'm going to go to mesh up here. There you go. And let's go to operation. So we can do something with this cube. And I want to do really something simple. So I'm going to go to subdivide mesh, and I'm going to put it in here. And you can see now the level is 1. So that's a simple operation. It's just going to divide one time this object. And again, I can call this something else if I want. I can rename the node as I rename the group. So right click, rename, and call it like sub1. Okay. And now let's just apply it, because this is not like, let's say, real time like the modifier. This needs to be applied, and once it's applied, that's it. So if I want to see what's happening here, actually I need to go to the overlays up here, and I'm going to activate the wireframe overlay so we can see better what's happening. And by the way, down here you also have a couple of more buttons. So one is the snap that we can use while we move around the objects in the nodes into the node editor. And this other one is for the overlays. Overlays are, the things that will show you where you're at in the nodes. So I think they are pretty handy. And also here you can activate, deactivate the wire colors and other things that you may or not visualize in the node editor. Timings also could be useful. It's going to show you how much time it takes to do some operation using the node editor. Okay, now let's do this operation. Let's add this node. And to do this, we just need to go in the standard 3D interface in Blender 3D window. And you can see now there is this little icon. It says unassign node tool. And so if I click here, you can see there is a tool that can be assigned. So if I click, there you go. Now I have subdivided this cube. And I'm going to move it around also here. I'm going to move it aside and add another one so I can do the same thing for the others. Well, let's actually change the name here. So you can see this is the timing for that operation. And also want to change the name. So I'm going to change it right up here. Let's call it like sub 1 also here. So we can see now when we go up here the name, so we can distinguish from others. Okay, so if I want to create a new one, let's like go here. So here I can select a specific tool, and I can also create a new geometry node from here. And I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm gonna now go with the Shift A to recall the subdivide mesh operation, put it in there, and this time I'm gonna say 2, so I'm gonna increase the level. So this is gonna be called sub 2. And so now when I go here and I want to apply this, I have 2. So sub 2 is gonna increase more and more the number of subdivisions. So if I like create 3 of these, I can have an entire set of these really similar. So I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to create a new cube again, and I'm going to create again the same node. So I'm going to go to subdivide mesh, but this time instead of using the simple mat operation that is right here, this is, again, remember to go with the inspection. So if I go in the inspection here, it's telling me that this is going to be one integer. So this is going to tell you what this is going to be every time. This socket needs an integer. So I can plug an integer from outside. I can just search for integer, and this could be a constant integer. Okay, so I can decide it from here, or could be also a mat operation. So let's say that I want to add here, let's say I want to add with the integer mat. So I want to add 2 values together. So I want to put this one in value 1. And let's create another integer. So Shift A and search again, integer. So also this one here will be good. Sorry, well, we can change it from here. So we can say absolute. Absolute means that it's going to be a single value. And now we have a little diamond. When you have little diamonds, you can have multiple values. When you have the circle, you have one single value. And when you have a diamond with the like hollow inside, with a little dot inside, it means that this can accept also or return like single values or multiple values. So it's like more versatile. So let's insert here like a single value from here. And let's say 2. So now what we're doing is adding this integer to this other absolute value here. And this is going to return with a result. Then I'm going to plug in here. So again, with that, when I have the diamond with the hollow, this can become a single value if I plug it into a single value, like the level. So this is going to be level 4. And so this is, I'm going to call this sub 4. And let's apply it. So appear again, and then we have sub 4. So you can see it's now 4 times. And it goes on and on. Now, once you apply, if you go here, it's going to tell you also that this is 4. It's going to tell you the result right away. But before, it's not going to tell you that. So you need to apply. And once it's applied, that's it. You can always like reapply it. You can come here and, just change the value and see the result right here. You need to reapply it again. So that's the main difference between tools and modifiers, and probably the best one is going to be modifier because it's more procedural, it's more like flexible, reversible, etc., etc. So this will be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe to the channel to stay updated. If you want to support us, you can join the channel, check our other courses. That's it. See you in the next.